I'm going to say something I've been saying for 16 years, I think, in front of over 2,500 shows, and that's this. You're now getting ready to enter Prospector Parker's world of make-believe, and I want all you nice young-timers here, and all you great old-timers who brought these little kids to us, I want everybody in this room to have a good time. Enjoy the show. I love you. Bye-bye, everybody.
From the Christmas before, we just sit and contemplate how nice it is to be bored. February, Cupid's arrows fly on Valentine's Day. It's the only month of the year we at the North Pole play. For in March we must march north to clean a shop to and fro. So in April we can sit and watch Easter Bunny go, go, go. Go, Easter Bunny, go. Go, Easter Bunny, go. In May, you'll get your creating brand new toys. By June, you start to get requests from eager girls and boys. July, the flowers light up the sky. We've already finished toys for folks to buy. August comes and we crave and many music to each. Here Santa gives us goals that we must reach. Dolls up 10% from last year. Trains up 15%. Bicycles up a whopping 20%. We're gonna have to work even quicker than last year. September finds the children heading back to school. Here at the North Pole, hard work is the rule. October brings Halloween and sounds of trick or treat. But the only thing we hear are the hammers beat, beat, beat. Beep, beep, not the sound of elves making toys, should you? November brings Thanksgiving Day and you'll be thankful for. It's Christmas Eve is coming, grabbing 30 days or more. December, working day and night, so everything is ready for Santa, Santa, Santa. Christmas Eve Well, Leonard and Martha, there'll be no more dawdling. We still have a lot to do before Christmas Eve. Although we've been busier this year than ever before, I think we're in better shape than ever. But I do have to get over and finish sorting these last-minute letters to Santa Claus. And here is a list of tasks that Santa has asked his 2 favorite elves to perform.
Don't worry, Mrs. C. We'll take care of everything.
I'm sure you will, Leonard.
First, there's some loose bolts on Santa's sleigh that need tightening. Of course, that'll be my job.
Why do you always say, of course, that'll be my job, Leonard? I'd like to do that.
You fix Santa's sleigh, work with tools?
Yes, what's so funny?
We don't want Santa's sleigh to fall apart. That's what's so funny. You can't do a job like that.
Why not?
Because you are a girl. Second, tie the ribbons on the special present Santa has set aside. Martha can do that.
Why not? Leonard can do that.
Because I'm a boy and tying ribbons is girls' work. Third, take the reindeer out to the pasture for the last time for feeding.
Now you know I can do that. All the reindeer like me.
But you don't know how wild they can become when they're let loose into the pasture. It's real strict and controlled.
And you don't think I could?
I know you could. Besides, you'll be busy doing your last task, washing and ironing Santa's suit before his Christmas Eve glory.
Every year I have to do that job.
Well, it's an important job. You want Santa to look good, don't you?
Sure, but why can't you wash and iron?
Me, a boy, wash and iron? Well, that's even funnier than you fixing Santa's sleigh.
What makes it funny is that you probably couldn't do a good job of it anyway.
Why would I want to? It's girls' work.
You know, Leonard, sometimes you get me so mad. What makes you think you can always be in charge, boss me around, make all of the decisions?
Because I'm a boy, and you're just a girl.
Just a girl. Girls are just as good as boys.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Wait a minute. What's going on in here? Why are you two arguing like that?
Leonard says boys are better than girls, Mrs. Puff, and that's not right, is it?
Everybody knows it's right. Martha the Martha.
No, there'll be no name calling. Martha, sit down there in my chair for a moment. Leonard, you sit right down here on this footstool. Now, I want you to count to 3 to yourselves. Take a deep breath and listen to what I have to say. I do not believe that anyone is better than anyone else. Do certain people do certain jobs better than others? Yes.
You see, Martha, I was right.
And the reason some people do certain jobs better is because they've had a chance to do them more often. For example, you must admit that I do sort Santa's letters a lot faster than either of you.
Yes.
Yes, but that's because you sort them year-round, and we only come in as Christmas goes near. You can't possibly expect us to sort them as well.
Thank you, Leonard. My point exactly. Oh. Now, specifically, what was the problem?
I wanted to do something different, like fix the bows on Santa's sleigh and have Leonard tie the ribbons on the special presents. But he says we can't, because the first is a boy's job and the second a girl's.
Well, I'll have to agree with Leonard that you two should not switch jobs, but not because of the ridiculous reason he gave. Boys and girls are equal now, but these jobs need to be done flawlessly without any chance for error. If you two were to switch now, you would be inexperienced in what you were doing. But since we are ahead of schedule, Leonard, you must allow Martha to watch you tighten the bolts on Santa's sleigh. Then after the Christmas Eve trip, if repairs need to be made, Martha can help you do them. And while Martha's tying the ribbons on the presents, Leonard, you must watch and learn. Then next year, when we start to do presents, you can try a few for yourself. And I hope that settles that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Claus, can you read that letter that you have in your hand? I just love to hear from the children.
Well, perhaps just a minute. It's from Marvin P. Johnson. Dear Santa Claus, I am writing this letter to ask you to bring me whatever you would like to leave me. I am not sure if I'm on your good boy list or bad boy. I've been blamed for lots of things this year, but many of them really weren't my fault. For example, the day I was watching my little sister. She's 18 months old and very cute. I turned around for a moment, and when I looked back, she was crawling out the door and nearing the steps. She hadn't learned how to go down steps yet, so I was afraid she'd hurt herself. I ran outside, swinging the door open, and grabbed her so she was safe. Then let me tell you what happened. The door hit my wagon, which began rolling down the driveway. It hit our neighbor's dog, who let out a yelp and turned around. He saw our cat nearby and must have thought the cat had bitten him. So Rusty the dog started to chase Laddie, our cat. They ran through Mr. Mason's tomato plants, trampling several of his prize tomatoes. I put Becky, my sister, on the ground to rescue Laddie, our cat. I caught up with him in the middle of the garden the second time around. He jumped up into my arms. Rusty didn't stop and jumped on me also. This knocked me backward into a rake resting against the wall, which slipped and went crashing through Mr. Mason's window. This brought Mr. Mason running out of his house. By the time he got outside, Laddie and Rusty had both disappeared. So Mr. Mason found me lying in his tomato garden among broken plants under the broken window. He blamed me for everything. To top it all off, my mother, who had just arrived home, saw Becky sitting unattended on our lawn and punished me for not watching her. Poor Marvin. I had done naughty things. I've been trying to do better, but it seems that once you get a reputation for being a bad boy, it's hard to live down. If you don't want to give me a present, would you please leave Becky, my sister, a new jumpsuit in which to crawl around, maybe with knee pads? Your friend, Marvin P. Johnson. What you think? Looks like you made the good boy list, Marvin.
Maybe we should give him a rabbit's foot for Big Mark.
Yes, and I feel sorry for him that he's trying to change, but is being haunted by his past behavior.
Yes, that often happens. Once you get a reputation for being a certain kind of person, it's hard to make people believe otherwise. That's why you should always strive to have a good reputation. I've got to get back to sorting these letters. I feel so good about this Christmas. We are so ready. Nothing can go wrong because last minute troubles.
Choo!
Except Santa being sick.
Mommy, I don't feel well.
Santa, come in and sit down. Help Santa to his chair. Oh dear, what seems to be the trouble?
Oh, my head aches, my eyes ache, my back ache. I've got this nagging cough. I'm terrible.
I better get you to a doctor right away.
You call Dr. Jorgensen in Stockholm, Sweden. You know he's been my personal physician for years. If there's anyone who can cure me quickly, it'll be he.
Call him right away, dear.
Achoo!
Santa, you sound horrible.
I feel horrible, Martha. But this Dr. Jorgensen's a genius. You know, one year, just the day before Christmas Eve, I came down with a toothache. It was so terrible I was screaming out loud. Dr. Jorgensen caught the first plane here, and when he got here, he fixed a poultice, which he put on my tooth, and I made my Christmas Eve flight. By the time I came back, he had an expert dentist waiting here for me, and they extracted the tooth. Yes, don't you worry. All will be well when Dr. Jorgensen gets here.
Yay!
Dr. Jorgensen won't be here.
Aww.
What do you mean he won't be here? He must come, dear. He always comes.
Well, he's in bed, dear.
We'll get him out of bed.
But he's had an accident. He has a broken arm and a broken leg.
Oh.
But he's had an assistant working with him for several years now, of whom he speaks most highly. A Dr. Svensson, who will be on the next flight here.
But I don't want Dr. Svensson. I want Dr. Jorgensen. Dr. Svensson won't know me. He won't understand me.
Oh, dear, I know how important this is to you. But I'm sure Dr. Svensson will be just fine. Now, I'm going to make you a nice hot tea with honey and lemon to soothe your throat. Leonard and Martha, I know you have a lot to do, but would you please stay here with Santa? Make sure he stays rested.
Oh, elves, elves, we are in a lot of trouble.
Don't be so concerned, Santa Claus. Like you said, you delivered presents with a bad toothache.
Oh yes, and there is that other year when you had a backache, but you still delivered your special presents. Hey, this is just a cold.
Just a cold? But a cold is the one ailment that I fear the most. It is the one malady that could totally ruin Christmas.
How?
When I'm in my sleigh, I'm high up in the sky where it's freezing cold, right?
All right.
If I had a runny nose, dripping like a water hose, running on down my chin, turning into icicles and looking like a walrus does, what a fix I'd be in. And supposing that while calling out my reindeer names, I had a coughing attack. Now dash! Now dash! By the time I called him once, it would be time to come on back. And supposing that I'm sneezing and starting into wheezing, putting presents under a tree, I wake up the children. They're standing there bewildering, for Santa Claus they did see. With a headache, toothache, backache, I can do my job. Be More than trouble, Leonard. A cold could put Santa Claus's life in grave danger.
How?
Driving a reindeer team is nothing at which to sneeze. In a literal sense, it takes a steady hand, you see. And if I jerk when I sneeze, I could hit a fence. Madam Curie, Louis Pasteur, Jonas Salk were scientists, I'm told. They tested, they triumphed, Eureka! They found the cure for everything except the common cold. So Christmas Eve will come around, Santa Claus will be found in bed with his head held down. And all the children everywhere will wake up in great despair, for presents will not be found. Throughout the age of history, I've done my job and made my Christmas Eve trip. Who'd have thought I'd end my Santa Claus thing due to nasal drip.
Oh my goodness, how about Santa Claus with that bad cold? And it might ruin Christmas for us this year. But y'all don't be too afraid. This Dr. Svensson already is on an airplane to the North Pole. So you sit there real quiet. And when the good doctor arrives, we'll continue with a ChristMrs story.
Wait, Dad.
Oh my.
How you doing, Santa?
Oh, a little better.
Good.
Guess what?
What?
Your sleigh is fixed and your reindeer have been fed.
Good.
And I helped you good. All your ribbons are tied on special presents, and your suit is washed and ironed.
And I helped do both.
Thank God. Achoo on you. Well, everything sounds in order for my Christmas Eve trip, and you know what? I'm going to make this Christmas Eve trip.
You know what, Santa? You sound much more optimistic than yesterday.
I am. I've been thinking, if Dr. Svensson has worked with Dr. Jorgensen for years, then he must be a good doctor. He'll arrive, examine me, diagnose me, give me medicine, and I'll make my Christmas Eve trip. I'm sure he's an expert at being a doctor. That must be him now.
I'll go get the door, Santa.
Martha, dear, I think it might be better if Leonard greeted the good doctor. You see, sometimes a man feels more comfortable if he comes into a strange house when he's greeted by another man.
Yes, Santa, and I'll handle this in a manly way.
Did you think that, Martha? Thank you.
Sure.
Well, like I said, I've totally changed my opinion of this doctor. I think this young man is going to heal me. I've got great confidence in this young man. I believe that this young woman... Leonard, where's Dr. Svensson?
May I introduce Dr. S. Svensson?
A woman?
A doctor.
I'm sorry, miss. I don't want to offend you or anything, and I thank you for your time, but I could never have a lady doctor.
Dr. Jorgensen told me you were from the old school, so he asked me to bring this letter to you. Besides, Santa, you have yourself a thank for me being a doctor.
How's that?
When I was 10 years old, I wrote you asking for a doctor's kit for Christmas, and you gave it to me.
No, that's impossible. In your generation, when you were a little girl, I did not get requests from girls for doctor's kits. Oh, plenty for nurses' kits. But in those days, if I had gotten a request from a little girl for a doctor's kit, old Santa would have remembered that.
Well, my name is Samantha, and in those days I signed everything just Sam.
Then you tricked Santa.
Not really. Well,
Dr. Jorgensen says I should trust you completely, so I will. Start your examination, Doctor.
first off, how long have you had your call?
Several days. It's a very persistent cough, but I don't seem to be coughing up any congestion.
Well, let me take your temperature. Slip this thermometer under your tongue while I take your pulse.
What were you doing then, Doctor?
I was counting Santa's heartbeats. Did you know that you can feel your heartbeat right there in your wrist? It's true. You cannot use your thumb because you have a heartbeat in your thumb also. And you feel right there on the side, and you feel the heartbeat. Count it for 15 seconds, then multiply by 4. That gives you the number of heartbeats in a minute.
Wow. What do you look for when you do that?
Well, a person's pulse should be between 60 and 80 beats per minute and regular in nature. If it is irregular, or if it's very fast or very slow, that could indicate a problem. 102.
That's bad, Santa.
Yes.
Well, yes and no. You see, the presence of a fever merely indicates that the body is trying to fight off an infection. But if you have a high fever over a long period of time, that could be trouble. And in an adult, if the temperature is 103 to 104, that could be real dangerous. Santa, I'd better listen to that cough, but you listen to your lungs.
Stethoscope.
All right, now take a deep breath. Again. How long have you had your fever?
Several days. Well, Doctor, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, Santa, it sounds as if your lungs are quite full of fluid.
Well, fine. You've made your diagnosis. Now give me the proper medicine for it, and I'll be making my Christmas Eve trip.
I'm afraid you will not be making any Christmas Eve trip this year.
What? You see, I told you I shouldn't listen to some lady doctor. I'm Santa Claus. I must make my Christmas Eve trip.
Well, if you do, it might very well be your last.
My last? What do you mean?
When a person's lungs fill with fluid, they become almost like a solid. This condition is known as pneumonia.
Pneumonia?
You haven't gotten that far yet, but if you go out in this cold, damp air and exert yourself with that cough, the results could be quite tragic.
But the children. And the children will wake up Christmas morning and have no presents from Santa.
Well, better they should miss you one Christmas than to miss you for all future Christmases. Dr. Jorgensen suggested I leave this medicine. I'll leave it here for you. Take it every 4 hours. When I get back to Stockholm, I'll send some additional medicines out right away. Now, you remember, stay in this Christmas Eve. Leonard and Marta, I leave it up to you to see that he does. I'll talk to Mrs. Claus on my way out. I saw her when I came in supervising the loading of your sleigh. I'll give her the bad news myself.
My children. I've never missed seeing my children. What am I to do?
I've got an idea, Santa.
What, Martha?
Maybe we could send a newsletter to the children all over the world and tell them that Christmas will be a week late or so.
Dear, thank you for thinking, but if we couldn't do that, we wouldn't be able to reach all the children in such a short time. And besides, Christmas coming a week late, it wouldn't be the same. All the magic would be gone.
I got it, Santa. Why can't me and Martha and I go to deliver the presents?
You would let a girl help you, Leonard?
In times of an emergency, no sacrifice is too great.
Well, thank you for wanting to sacrifice yourself for me, Leonard. But 2 elves could never deliver all the presents in one night. Elves just don't have the magic, you know?
Yeah, what do you mean by this magic, Santa?
What do I mean by it? Well, haven't you noticed it? Every year, about the same time, the same thing happens. Day after day, life goes on, dull, and do we really care? Then suddenly, it's Christmas Eve, magic's in the air. What make the reindeer fly, you wonder, on every Christmas Eve? And how does Santa put the toys under every Christmas tree? How can I visit all the children around the world one night and fill up all their stockings in just a single night? So listen now, and I'll tell you a thought that's true, and I will share. When happiness and love abound, magic's in the air. And have you noticed at Christmas time, everyone's a little gladder when smiles are freely given, the joy each person's living. You'll know that Santa's magic's in the air. No, children. No one can save Christmas. Only Santa Claus can save Christmas.
Or Mrs. Claus.
Mommy!
Claus.
Dear, are you crazy? You can't possibly think you can deliver all the presents in one night.
Why not, dear?
Well, because you're,
A woman, right?
Yes.
And why don't you think a woman can do your job?
Because driving a reindeer team takes great strength. It's excruciatingly cold up there. The packs are extremely heavy filled with all those toys. It is definitely man's work.
Well, now you know that in times of emergency or stress, people are able to perform great feats of strength. I'll be able to do it.
Way to go, Mrs. Claus.
But the magic to do so much in such a short period of time.
Well, Santa, you do not have a monopoly on magic, you know. Besides, I have something inside me that will allow me to participate in your special magic. So listen now, and I'll tell you a thought that's true and I will share. When man and wife have a love that's deep, magic in the air. And have you noticed when you are there, just my touch can make you gladder. When troubles vanish from life, look for the touch of your wife. Missing all this magic in the air.
All right, dear, give it your best shot.
Yay! I'll go hitch the reindeer up to the sleigh.
All right,
And
Mike.
I'll go get some thermoses of hot tea.
And I'll make sure that Santa takes his medicine. Now you remember, take it every 4 hours as Dr. Svensson suggested.
Oh. Mrs. Claus, I'm going to be worried sick about you until you return. You and I are the only people in the whole world who understand the dangers this trip entails.
Now, you're sick enough. Don't add worry to it.
But dear, the chances of you doing this are not very good.
I love you so much, you jolly old man. And that love will see me through. We'll just both have to hold it in us.
Here's your hot tea, Mrs. Claus.
The reindeer have been hitched up to the sleigh, Mrs. Claus, all ready to go.
Well then, wish me luck.
Good luck.
Oh, Mrs. Claus, here's some chapstick.
Chapstick?
Yes, a lady's lips are very tender and need much more protection.
Oh.
Thank you, Martha. Well, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas!
sign of her yet. Here it is, Christmas morning. Mrs. Claus had been back from her trip hours and hours ago. I know something terrible's happened to her. Achoo! 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 Leonard, any sign of her?
None at all, Santa.
Where can she be?
I don't know, but you should be resting. Dr. Swinton said that you needed to rest.
Rest! 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 How do you expect me to rest? My wife could be out there in great danger. My children, they might be waking up and finding no toys. I should have made the trip myself.
It was too dangerous, Santa. Besides, I just know Mrs. Claus will be fine.
Well, I'm glad you're confident. But you see, delivering toys all around the world in a single night, that is man's work. And I don't think a woman, even a woman as wonderful as my wife, could possibly ever achieve it.
I used to think that way too, Santa.
Really? Tell me about it.
Yeah, but Dr. Swinton sure diagnosed you correctly. And Martha caught on to fixing the bolts on his sleigh so quickly that she even got to do a few herself. And I checked them. They were perfect.
Really? Huh. How did you do tying the ribbons on the presents?
I'll go see if she's coming yet.
Well, maybe you're right. But something's wrong, or else you would have been back here hours ago. Who knows what could have happened?
Santa!
What?
Santa.
What?
Martha's coming this way. Maybe Mrs. Claus is landing.
Martha?
She just made it safely, Santa. Elves are taking the reindeer from her. She should be here any minute.
But Martha, is she all right?
She seems to be. She has a great big smile on her face.
Oh no, something went wrong, or else she wouldn't be this late. I just.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! I did it!
Oh, Mrs. Claus! Dear, I have been so worried about you, especially when you did not come home on time. But here, everybody, sit down, and Mrs. Claus will tell us all about it.
Now, first things first, are you feeling better?
Dear, it's amazing. That medicine Dr. Spencer sent over has been working wonderfully. But sit down, tell me all about your trip, and tell me what went wrong.
Nothing went wrong, dear.
But you're so late.
Oh, well, it was my first time. You can't expect me to be as efficient as you.
Oh.
So, for some of the children, Christmas will be a little late this year. And it does take time, you know, to arrange the presents neatly under the tree, separating the colors, making sure the ribbons don't clash.
You took the time to do that?
Well, of course, dear.
I never do. I just zip down the chimney, throw the presents around pell-mell, and zip back up. And everybody has been quite happy with that arrangement throughout history.
Well, I hate to tell you, dear, but mothers all over the world always get up early and rearrange your work before the new families come into the room.
What?
So that's why parents like to get up so early. To make the presents look nice.
That's right, Leonard.
Well, how about that? Well, sounds like you did a pretty good job, Mrs. Claus. And I guess now you'll want to do this more often.
Oh, no way. I'm probably going to gain 25 pounds from all the cookies and milk I ate.
Oh, yes. The famous milk and cookies, my favorite part of the trip.
And I broke 2 fingernails scraping them on the sides of those chimneys.
Yep, you get your bumps and your bruises on the job.
Why I particularly won't want to do it again. Well, unless it's an emergency, of course. It's just look at this. Look!
What?
Look, Martha.
Dish pan hands.
Oh, Santa, my hands are all red and sore.
Ooh, Mrs. Claus, you're right, they are. I never get that way. How did yours?
Well, from washing all the dishes.
The dishes? What dishes?
From the cookies and milk.
You washed all those dishes? All around the world?
Of course. You can't leave dirty dishes.
I always do. I mean, that's part of the fun for the children. Come down there Christmas morning and to find those plates empty and a little bit dirty.
Well, I suppose things will be a little different this year.
In more ways than one, dear. When perfume fills the air and presents are
are laid out with care. You'll know Mrs. Claus has been there. It was a Christmas's Christmas.
When goodies are under the plate,
And Santa arrives a bit late.
You'll know it was not a mistake. It was a Christmas's Christmas.
Boys and girls are different in many ways, it's true. But don't underestimate the things they both can do.
Boys and girls can both succeed at whatever they may choose. Working hand in hand will win, and we'll never lose. When dishes are clean in the sink, and ribbons one gives her own pink, you'll only need a moment to think. It was a Christmas's Christmas. It was a Christmas's Christmas.